Do you know why I stopped doing certain rituals and certain things on my spiritual path? It wasn't my laziness. It wasn't me being wrong. It was actually because I was taking everything too serious. Aloha, my beautiful soul. My name is May. I'm your neurospicy cyber witch, and I'm here to help you unravel anything that has to do with your witchiness, highly sensitivity, and or neurospiciness, especially for ADHDers. One of the things that I want to share with you today is the topic of, taking spirituality too serious. And yes, I am serious about this because I remember all of the things that I was doing, whatever technique it was that I was learning, it was always combined with shoulds. You should do it this way. You should do this. And it has to be this way. I remember my very first witchy book. It was something that would guide you through a whole year of witchiness. And it was, okay, for Ostara, you have to celebrate with these colors and this candles. And along the way, it was getting very expensive because I needed to buy, candles in a certain color and tablecloth in a certain color. Okay, so after a while, of course, kind of like a thing of not having money. And on the other hand, having the whole stress and overwhelm of having to do it on a perfectly, in a perfect way. And then, I stopped doing it. Next thing came up. I remember one of the first things that I had to do was energetic meditation every day. I had to do at least 3 times 5 minutes. Yeah, 3 times 5 minutes. That was, I don't know how long I made it. I think I was 18 back then. It was, I think I made it for a couple of months, which was a lot for me. And then it just stopped because it was too much because I wanted to do it too perfect. And if you know a neurospicy brain, when someone tells you, now you have to meditate and you have to make your mind blank and you have to stop thinking of anything and you have to, okay, so I tried to stop thinking of anything and realized that actually I had 3 lanes of thoughts running through my brain. So if I stopped one, I still had the other 2. So how would I stop the other 2, right? That's exhausting if you have to do that. The shoulds that you have to do that. So I stopped doing that too. And that's how it went with everything. The first one that ever gave me a different direction was my shamanic teacher. Basically, the very first teacher I had, because before him, I was only learning from books. But then he came along and he taught me one of the most beautiful things. And I do this with all of my clients up to today. I keep this up from him, which was, that's one of the things that he said. I'm teaching you tools. Everything that you see, all of these things are tools. Back then, when he was telling me this, it wasn't normal, at least here in Germany in the spiritual world. You either were a shaman or you were Reiki or you were this, but you would never be able to mix everything. And he told me, he was the first one that said, your path is spiritual, but don't let anybody just put you in one box. And that was the first thing. But also the other thing is that he said, these are all tools. These are all tools to help you connect with yourself, with your higher self, and with your spiritual guidance. And I'm going to teach you the way I was taught, because with the rules that I was taught. But if spirit tells you any other way, spirit is right. And he confirmed it by one action that actually happened one time when we were doing some energy work. I was working on somebody, and you know how there is a special direction that you're supposed to do it. And I was completely connected with my spirits and I was doing it all over the place. And so afterwards he was like, that actually you're supposed to do it this way. And I'm like, I don't really know, because I was just, following my spirits. And he was, don't worry, if they told you, then it's fine. And that was a huge confirmation of my own intuition to do that. And that was the very first thing. And another confirmation I received way later when he was not there anymore, and that was through the Hawaiian philosophies. And all of the, I'm saying philosophies because there's different kinds of interpretations, and I learned a couple of them. I'm not saying all of them because there's probably a lot more, but I learned a couple of them, and most of them combine this one part that if it feels right for you, and that is Pono. Pono is, the Hawaiian way of saying it's a divine harmony. And if you do double, that's where the divine comes, Pono, right? And a lot of you are going to go, oh, wait, I've heard of Ho'oponopono. Yes, Ho'oponopono is actually, if you translate that word, it actually means making it more perfect or making it harmoniously divine. That's the whole thing behind that. But again, this is a story for some other time. I'm working on making a workshop to tell you more about this, because I know that a lot of people put the Ho'oponopono in this, those are the 4 sentences and that's how you heal it. No, there's way more behind that. And I'd love to share that with you. So I'm working on that class, on that masterclass. Hopefully I'll be able to get it out either this month or next month. But to come back, sorry. No, not sorry. We're ADHDs and sometimes the brain just wanders off. But coming back to what I'm talking about, making it Pono. Pono means if it feels right for you, if your intuition, if your alignment, if your spirit guides, if all of them, if that feels the right way, then that's the way that you should do it right now. Doesn't mean for tomorrow, doesn't mean for yesterday, whatever, that's other moments. But if your intuition, your connection tells you right now, this is the right path for me to go, that's your path to go. And it doesn't matter if they were telling you, no, it has to be a yellow candle and it has to be no. I just have to say, no, this is one of the things where I really get, I don't want to say angry, but it really annoys me when I hear other people trying to make this very black and white. That's not how it's supposed to be. And especially for us neurospices and highly sensitive people, we have a different kind of frequencies we align to, we pick up on one hand, on the other hand, how we perceive things. And the beautiful thing is about allowing yourself to get your information through, to get to a point where you're so aligned that you hear what your spirits are telling you, what your spiritual guidance is telling you. If you don't want to walk about spirits, think about your higher self, think about your intuition, right? And they are going to tell you what the right path, what the right thing for you is. That's why when I'm thinking about my cyber coven and, all the things that I want to share with you there, it's about helping you have tools and get connected with yourself, with your alignment, so that at one point, hopefully, you do connect for yourself and find the answers and find the guidance within yourself, because that is so important. And that is one of the things why on spiritual paths, why we have the tendency to jump around. And I'm not saying that I'm very open to still learning other techniques. If I realize, I've heard that just with other words somewhere else, I might get bored again. But I do usually like to hear different forms from other people as well. That's how my whole path was. I learned with so many different, spiritual techniques, and I'm grateful for all of them because they all taught me one thing that lies behind all of it. Right. And that's why I think it's okay for us to learn different kinds of things, but it's also okay for us not to stress to do it too perfectly, because it's guidelines, right? It's not rules. It's not set of rules. It's guidelines. If it says, do whatever you want to do for, if it's something witchy that you want to do, a ritual, do it the way it feels good for you. And then, it's going to have the energy that you want to bring in. Because if you're too stressed of trying to make it too perfect and then you're missing this or missing that, that's the energy that's going to go in there. All right. I know today was a little emotional because it's something that's very dear to me. But I'm very grateful that I could share this with you. And I hope this helps you to open up and give you the permission. It's okay to draw a little bit outside the lines when it comes to, to your personal spiritual practices. It's about practicing your own spirituality. All right, my beautiful souls. And as always, please have many blessings for the coming week. I hope this inspired you to, find your flow around all of this and not be too, how do I put this? Not be too strong with yourself, too pushy with yourself and too stressful and too overwhelmed with yourself. Find what really works and feels good for you. And that's it. All right. With that said, my beautiful soul, have a wonderful week, a blessed week. And as always, please be graceful with yourself. You're an amazing human being.